Hello and welcome to Get Started. I'm Merlin, and in this video we take a look at a fun aspect of the hobby, which is to add transfers to our models. Transfers bring a little bit of extra detail to our models in the form of chapter symbols for the Space Marines, squad markings, dynasty symbols, and even scriptures. Transfers is a lot easier than working at the freehand method, which I could show you in a later video if you so desire. Transfers come on sheets like this. There's a clear film which holds the print on a piece of backing card. In order to get the transfers off, you need to soak the backing card with some water, then the transfers will slide off and they'll apply to your models. But this alone will not get the transfers to adhere properly. To get your models to adhere, there are two methods to do it. I'll show you both in this video. There's the classic Citadel method, which uses hard coat gloss varnish and lamy and medium. These two pigment-free paints are ideal for working with transfers and also adding a little bit of extra protection to your models. I'll also show you the microscale method. This uses, again, two parts. First we'll use microset. This solution helps us not only adhere the transfers but soften them. Then we'll use microsol. This solution helps the transfers soften even more and will apply perfectly to routed surfaces like shoulder pads. In addition to this, you'll need a few standard supplies that should already be in your toolkit. You'll need a paintbrush, a pot of water, a pair of scissors or sharp knife to cut your transfers out, a piece of kitchen towel, and if you've got them, some cotton buds. These will be ideal for helping absorb the solution off the models when we apply them without damaging the transfers. But before we begin, let's cover some health and safety tips. 1. Seek adult supervision, especially when it comes to using sharp tools like scissors and hobby knives. 2. Work on a flat and stable surface. A table or desk will suffice. And 3. Don't forget to work in a well-lit and well-ventilated area. For this video, we'll be applying transfers to our Outrider Sergeant. So, if you got him ready, I'll see you at the paint desk. So, here we are ready at the paint desk, and we've got our Outrider Sergeant here, ready to have his transfers applied. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a large, medium-sized Crimson Fist transfer to the side of the bike. A squad marking to the other side of the bike. And then I'll apply a Crimson Fist transfer to each shoulder pad on one side and maybe a Battle Honour on the other side. So for the first method, we'll use the Citadel method. So we need, hard to see because it's white on white, but we need the technical paint hard coat, which is a gloss varnish. And then we need lamy and medium, mine's in a dropper bottle. But this is to take the shine off once we've finished applying the transfer. So first things first, we need to get our transfer cut off the sheet. So to do this, make sure you have a mat of some kind down to protect your surfaces from the knife. For me, this old desk will suffice just. So you want to locate the transfers we want. So we want the Crimson Fist transfer just there. There we are. And we'll take a squad marking. So assault units are usually squads 7 and 8 in a company. So we'll take the Roman numerals for 8. Like so. So next we'll bring in a piece of tissue paper and we'll lie our transfers on top of it. If I can pick them up. Then we'll take a brush, load it up with some clean water and apply it. And apply it to our transfer like so. And as you can see, it's starting to soak into the backing paper. Which will help lift the transfer from the back. So make sure we apply plenty of water and leave it for a few minutes so that it comes fully off. While the transfers are soaking, we can bring in our hard coat and we'll apply this to the areas that we're going to apply the transfers to. So we can use it straight from the pot. But what we want to do is coat the entire area that the transfer is going to be going on with hard coat. Just a thin layer, not too thick. If you've got too much on, just scoop it off and we'll move it to the other side as we're going to be putting a transfer on there. We'll just apply a layer of hard coat like so. Hopefully by the time our transfers are loose, this should be near enough dry. Okay, it's been a few moments. The hard coat is drying, and if we wet our brush, we can touch the transfers and we can see they are starting to slide around the paper. So we'll go ahead and pick up this Crimson Fist icon. Then we'll bring our model in, holding on to one corner. Make sure your brush is still wet. You want to slowly lift it off the paper, like so. Bring in your model and position it where you want it, and there is just perfect. Look at that. So we'll let that adhere, and we'll put on the squad marking on the other side. Alright, and here we see the marking hasn't exactly landed where we want it. So again, wetting your brush, just soak the transfer a bit and then you can move it around, which is part of the reason why we use hard coat, as it's a nice shiny surface. So not only does it give the transfer something to stick to, it allows it to be manipulated around until we get it into the right place. There. And I think that will do. Now we'll use our cotton bud and we'll soak up excess water. whilst smoothing out the transfer. We'll leave those for a few minutes and then we'll return with the alarming medium. So our transfers are nicely dried, and now we can use some alarming medium. I'll make a puddle of a few drops in the corner there, just off camera. Then I can load my brush up, and we'll apply this all over the areas that the hard coat has touched, just so it knocks back that glossy finish. I've also given an optional step of apply a second layer of hard coat just to help seal those transfers down. And like I said, this alarming medium layer will help take the shine off from the hard coat. There we go. We'll leave that to dry and we'll move on to our second method. There we have it. Our transfer has fully dried and you can't even tell that those are transfers. They blend in perfectly to the model. And like I said, in a future video, I'll show you how to add some additional weathering to these to blend them in even more. Right, moving on, I will show you a method to apply transfers to the rounded surfaces of the Sergeant's shoulder pads. So I'll be using this old-fashioned Space Marine transfer sheet, but you use whichever ones you have available to you. There is of course a small sheet in the Command Edition box with Ultramarine specific icons. But as these are Crimson Fists, I need the appropriate symbol. Take my time, carefully cutting out the transfer, lay it on top of our towel. Then I think for the other shoulder pad, we'll add this triangle battle badge. To show that our Outrider has fought in a specific campaign. So for this, instead of soaking it with the water, we're going to actually soak the transfers with the microsol. This not only gets the transfers off the paper, it also softens them up a little bit to make them apply a little more smoother. I do suggest taking care when using microsol, as there is a slight strong smell to it, as it is slightly solvent based. So make sure you're working in a well ventilated area, and if need be, wear a suitable face covering. So we'll let that soak in, and then we're going to apply some of this also to the area that we're going to apply the transfers. Just coat each of the shoulder pads. Like so. If I brush a quick wash, re-wet it, and we'll just check those transfers. Nope, they're going to need a little bit longer. So apply a little bit more of the microsol. Oh no, there we go, one's already loose. Just waiting for this one. So what we'll do, as the first one's ready, we'll start with that. So we'll put the lid back on our microsol. We'll pick up the transfer sheet as usual. Now this time you're going to have to take a little bit more care with it. I do suggest having a pair of tweezers if you don't feel safe handling it yourself, because the decal is now slightly softened, so that means it's more prone to tearing, as well as being prone to taking on odd shapes. What we'll do is bring it over here. Oop. And we'll slide it off and onto our shoulder pad, like so. And again, using some water, we can wet the transfer and maneuver it into its final resting place. Of course, with the tilt plate there, it's going to be a little harder to reach all the angles, but there we go. Let's just test. Yep, that one's fine. So as the shoulder pad's fairly dried out, let's get a bit of extra micro set just to re-wet the shoulder pad. Pick up our transfer and slide it into position. It will take some time to get the method down right. So your first few transfers might not sit as flush as you want. It's all about taking your time, gauging how much you actually need to use. There. Right, we'll put the lid back on the microset because now we'll need the microsol. So this solution helps, again, soften the transfers, but softens them so much that they appear more painted on than we would do with our previous transfers. And it also helps them to sit more flush to a rounded surface. As you can see, it's smoothed out that bottom section nicely. We'll do the same over here. Right, we'll leave those to dry for a little bit. With the transfers drying nicely, we can bring in our cotton bud again. And we're just going to gently dab it against the transfer, absorbing the extra solution and also helping to smooth out any remaining wrinkles. And there we have our finished transfer. As you can see, it's not dried the best. I made the mistake of trying to apply the varnish while the micro sole was still wet, and it sort of reacted with each other. But either way, that is 2 methods on how to apply transfers to your models. Choose whichever one you prefer, or like I've done here, mix and match the 2. There you have it, 2 methods on how to use transfers. Why not use these methods to apply transfers to the rest of your miniatures in your Command Edition set? There you have it, 2 different methods of applying transfers, both of which give a great end result. Why not apply transfers to the rest of the models in your collection and bring them all up to that same standard? I hope you found these tutorials helpful. In a later video in the series, I'll show you a few methods on how to add weathering to transfers to help them blend into your models better. That's it for this video. Up next, we build our Necron Overlord, as well as our final piece of terrain, the Thermo Exchanger Shrine. As we begin Episode 5, Counterattack. I've been Merlin. This has been Get Started. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.